Welcome, welcome to the call. Welcome, welcome. I am your host, Christine Renee, and so is Shantel Ochoa. We are going to be talking about all of this beautiful light side of the archetypes and how we can embody it in our daily lives to really emphasize how the archetypes can be embodied and affect our daily life. And I love this idea. I love this concept because last week on the show, we really talked about the shadow side. And when we do the shadow work and we start alchemizing the shadow, embracing the shadow, loving the shadow, then we can start stepping into the light side of our archetypes. And when we can identify and embody that, then we can really make a positive impact in our life because you're really embodying your higher self. You're really embodying that grandest version of who you are. And you're doing it so consciously of like, okay, here's the situation. What if I enveloped myself in this archetype that's already part of who I am to the highest degree available to me? And what does that feel like when I move through life? What did I miss there, Shantel?
No, that was great. And that's exactly what it is. And so even if we, like I said, label them as the archetypes, but take it to a different degree of the different aspects of ourself. And so that's what I love about it. It is embodying our higher self with a conscious awareness of how we show up and how we respond and how we act in certain situations. I did pull, so there is a deck of archetypes. And so I kind of, before we came on, asked like, who would like to come forward in this conversation? And so I do have a few, and I thought, because that would be a great way of bringing a few in. And the first one that came out is the Midas and the Miser. And I love that because it's all about our sense of abundance, right? So when we're in our lacking mindset, that's more of our shadow. But when we can be in the miser energy, that's when we can embody the abundance. That's when we can start manifesting, claiming all of the things that we want to have in our life and know that it's safe. Know that it's part of our journey here, that it is safe to do so. We don't have to be in this poverty consciousness. And I just love that. And so that's definitely one that we can talk about. The seeker came out too. So adventurous, seeker of knowledge, seeker of wisdom, seeker of truth. Nature, the child nature, going out into the world and really connecting with nature. And shapeshifter, which I think is a great one. I love the shapeshifter. And that is the version of us that can go out and just merge in all situations and with different people and personalities and everything. I feel in the spiritual world, we might have one gift that we're awakened to, but then many different aspects of that open up, right? And so it is like that shapeshifter where we can be a Reiki practitioner, we can be a shamanic practitioner, and we can go out and do, entity retreat, all those things. And here doing podcast, and that's us embodying that shapeshifter of all the elements of who we are.
Yeah, it's like really switching out those hats. So notice
Mhm.
how Chantel gave us like four brief examples of different archetypes, and like we can use each one of those to kind of really recognize, okay, what is the light element of those? Do they resonate with you? And like how can you fully step into like the positive aspects of each one? So I say like, yeah, let's do it. Like if these are the cards that showed up, let's go ahead and play, hoping that they resonate with you and different aspects of yourself, knowing that there's lots and lots of different archetypes. So if you haven't listened to the previous shows on archetypes, know that there's, I think, 72 different
Mhm.
archetypes that are really emphasized in Carolyn Miss's book called Sacred Contracts. And so know that like there's definitely a lot of archetypes out there. And Carolyn Miss definitely hones in on these primary 72. And you can really find and identify with many of them. Usually we have 12 in our archetypal wheel that is like the blueprint of your personality. And they each have this lighter side and this darker side, shadowy side. And when we can start working with this, we can really look at the lighter side of and the embodiment practice. So these four we have, let's go ahead and start with the miser. Like I would love to like just dive in and feel into each of those qualities and noticing how would we blanket ourselves in the archetype? Like, I don't think you necessarily even need to have the archetype in your wheel to go, I
Mhm.
need the miser today in my life so that I can fully be embodied in prosperity and knowing that other people are happy to pay me for my services, right? Like that energy of like, how can I say, this isn't part of who I am, but today I'm going to embody it anyway and really use that energy to put on that hat, put on that cap, cloak yourself in it, and say yes to life from that lens.
Yeah. So definitely, I love how you were bringing that out is that the archetypes, they kind of awaken within us where we're moving and how we're shifting in life, right? So it's not even as the collective, as we grow and evolve, archetypes start coming in all the time based on where we are. So with the miser, if that's something, archetype you want to work with, that's typically people who we're looking at being more our own boss, opening our own businesses, our own companies, doing our own thing, shifting away from the 9 to 5. So I'm seeing this a lot in my community where people are really diving into what they can offer. What are the services that they have? And so the miser, calling in the miser, and knowing I am abundant in all my business, my home, and my life in general. And so that can really help you to start to grow in the abundance of your business. It's
Yeah.
everything you touch becomes gold. And when you know that, it's like you are already putting the intention, you're declaring it, right? Because our energy will follow that. So everything you know and touch is going to become abundant and successful for you.
Yeah, absolutely. So I have miser in my archetype. And
Mm.
right. And so notice like the idea of being an entrepreneur has never scared me. Like I would choose this any day over a 9 to 5. Like I fully want to be in my own power and my own creative process. I don't want to follow the rules that someone else gives me on how to do business or play by, the quote unquote, the man or corporations. Like I've never wanted to play that game ever. Like I remember when I was younger, like working for a giant corporation and be like, yeah, no, I'm done. I'm not doing this. Like if I'm not directly impacting someone's life, there's no point for me doing this. And that the miser came in and really helped me establish like I have the capacity to offer services that people would be willing to pay for and not feeling bad about that, right? So I think the shadowy side of the miser is that low money mindset that I'm taking people's money and it's not valuable, or no one has enough money to pay for my services, or like that lack mentality is like the shadowy side of the miser. And the positive, what I'm hearing from Shantel is like everything you touch turns to gold. Like knowing that your services is of the highest quality and people are going to be so happy to pay you in exchange for those services, right? And like where's the balance in that of like, here I am, is this like not being the prostitute, like I need to exchange everything. It's the miser is like knowing that they're valuable and sharing their area of expertise in for money, and knowing that prosperity is theirs for the taking.
Yeah, exactly. And so with the miser coming forward too, is what it does is it offers you a flow. So when there are certain people that are struggling to pay, for your services, you're so abundant that it gives you the opportunity to say, hey, I can, do a discount on this. I can help you in this way, right? That's the balance that we can bring forward. But it's because we're coming from a sense of security
Yeah.
and abundance within ourselves that we can give. We can give even more than what we typically would. And I love that with the miser is because it really does put a twist on our abundant mindset. And so what are the things that we can do? We can bring forward money bowls, right? We can donate. We can offer to, like the homeless, or, there's just so many different things that we can do that's in abundance of giving that in return we receive back, because
Yeah.
that's a universal law of energy of exchange of money, right? Is what we give, we receive back. It's the service of. And so when you can line it all up and know that you are giving of your heart, because that's the biggest part of it, right? Is we're giving of ourselves from our sense of our heart, of love and compassion, and not of greediness. Because the miser can have a greedy side effect to it. It can have that shadow aspect of greed, and it's all mine. And that's not, when you're standing in the light of it, you're able to give the offerings that you have because you're doing it in the compassionate part of who you are, because you're in such an abundance that it's okay to offer as well.
Absolutely.
What
Yeah.
are some of your things that you do that help you to bring forward that abundant mindset?
I love creating up sacred space for money dates. I don't know if you guys have ever heard of this term of money dates. I may have mentioned it previously on other podcasts, but it's where when you need to do payroll or you need to put together your payments or anything money related, taxes. And we're right around the corner for doing tax season. It's really setting up sacred space to do your financial duties, right? And so you're lighting candles, you're putting flowers on your desk. It's like really coming toward your financial work, the pieces of that entrepreneur that must be done, and doing it in a sacred way. I think so often entrepreneurs are like, especially spiritual entrepreneurs, they don't like this part of the job, right? So how can you bring the spirituality into the finances? Like how can you bring it forward? And before you start looking at your QuickBooks or looking at your bank accounts and reconciling those things, like how can you step forward in that of going, I can take 10 minutes to meditate and feel into the embodiment, the fullest of the capacity of the miser, and knowing that all is well, and that I can be in this flow of abundance, and then open up all of your financials. Like I'm lighting the candles, I'm doing the smudging, I'm creating sacred space and a container. Okay, I'm doing this for 1 hour, right? Create the container for it and then do it, right? So if you haven't got your taxes done, those are due this due really soon.
Yeah,
Um,
like tomorrow, right?
I think it's tomorrow. I've got an extension. I'm like, yeah, I need to get that done. Of like doing it in sacred space. And then when you come into that, you're giving thank you. Like when I write my checks on the memo line, it's always thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you for the money I'm sending out. And now that we're doing it all, like I'm paying my energy bill online and paying my phone bill online, like, and sometimes those are all automatic. So as I go through those line items, can I take a moment, even if it's just 30 seconds, and going, thank you for the electricity? Can I say thank you for my internet service? Can I say thank you for, whatever those money out goes out? Because it's just like Shantel said, it's going to come back to you. And I really believe that it comes back to you in tenfold. So if I'm giving thanks to my electricity, I'm going to have this abundance of energy available to me through what I need in my home, right? Like it's allowing yourself to come into that state of awareness and abundance and releasing that scarcity mentality. And so it's really creating that sacred container to do your financial work. So look at your calendar and actually set a date of, I'm going to have a money date. I'm going to check in with my finances. I'm going to reconcile my accounts. I'm going to look at my profit loss statements, whatever it may be, and do it with intention. Light your candles, do your things to like really set up sacred space for that work.
Yeah. Yes, it's an amazing practice. Also giving thanks to what we call debt, right? You can
Yeah.
also switch the concept of debt to your assets, because really that means that you were abundant enough to be approved for the loan. You've worked hard enough to have that credit score, whatever it is. So it's giving us the opportunity of being in this abundant state of mind, even if we're talking about paying our debts down.
Yeah. Well, and that whole conversation is really also very interesting to me because there's such a negative mindset around debt. And when we can say, no, 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 like if we can take out the negative connotation and go, this is an exchange of I'm utilizing this asset. It's an
Hmm.
asset. Like I have this asset available to me so that I can do the thing. And I'm happily paying that bill every month to pay down my credit card debt. It's an asset. Like it allowed me to take this course. It allowed me to take that, go to that retreat or whatever it was. Like it's an exchange, right? And the interest rate is worth it, right? So it's oftentimes I'm like, it is absolutely okay to go, like my Going to my Tantrahuasca retreat back in October, I put that on a credit card, right? And I knew that the information that came out of that experience was going to come back to me tenfold, right? And now here I am. I love teaching the Divine Feminine workshops. I love integrating it into our Soul Rising course. I'm putting out more and more information on this. Why? Because of it was that experience. Like I feel like my energetic signature expanded tremendously by taking, and it all flowed from that experience. My personal life shifted, my energy experience shifted, my sexual self expanded, right? Like all these things, I'm like absolutely freaking worth that debt on the
Yeah.
credit card, right? And when I can really embody all of those benefits, it's going to expand out into my clients and into my students so that I receive money back to pay that down. So it's like, how can we lose the fear that we're not going to have enough to pay it down, and going, absolutely, if I invest in this, it's going to come back to me. And I really, that's why I encourage you to take our workshops and our courses and programs and really feel into like, how is this going to serve you afterwards? Like, how is your life going to be so expansive that the money of what you invested into is not going to be a problem, right? So that's another way of looking at the miser, of going, how are we investing in ourselves for our expansive state of mind into the future?
Yes. How are we investing in ourselves? That's it. That's totally it. And, just on a quick note of like, yeah, me going to Costa Rica with you, part of my intention with that was to go and learn how to do it. And here in May, I'm hosting my first like retreat. So, it really does. It comes that tenfold. And that's if you have the mindset to run with it and not look at the debt of what you spent, but the asset and how it's going to return back to us. So, yes, love that. Love that. Do you want to do the seeker now?
Yeah, I totally do.
Okay. So I know the seeker is in mine. It's more, I'm born into it as a Sagittarius. It's definitely like I am a seeker of truth. I'm a seeker of knowledge. I love adventure. I love to travel and journey and do all those things. So with it, the light attributes are thirst for wisdom and truth wherever they are. So the seeker within you is always going to be in search of truth. It's going to be in search of what and how things are going to benefit you, or how you can, benefit others, but you're seeking it out. And whether it's text, whether it's taking the classes, it's taking courses, it's going on retreats, it's traveling the world, whatever it is for you, the seeker within us is always looking for something that's going to help us to grow.
Absolutely. It really is looking for that search for God or enlightenment and finding its own path of truth, right?
Mhm.
The shadowy side is when that search becomes lost, and that you're a lost wanderer, not really having any direction or um, container in which you're doing your search, right?
Mhm.
And so how can we embody the lighter side and saying and going, my seeker archetype is really honing in for this embodiment of what experience, what emotion are you hoping to obtain, right? Like having some type of goal orientation can help the seeker really stay focused on what they're trying to obtain, and instead of endlessly searching and not really knowing where they're going.
Yeah, and that is when we feel lost, we can tap into the seeker within us so we can have that path and we can journey a well-traveled path, right? It's kind of like being on that good dirt, the red dirt road is what it's called. It's like you're being able to journey towards the things that you're seeking because it's heart, you're calling, you're being called to it. And whatever it is for you, but with the seeker, it is seeking the truth of self. And if that is the enlightenment, if that is your ascension, if that is you're trying to find the higher source of all things, go seek those things out because that's an inner calling for you. And so let the journey unfold for you.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
It's for me, like all the like coming into energy healing and everything, that was something that I think I was seeking my whole life, but until it showed up, I didn't really know what it was titled and what it was, but it was always something in me that I was seeking. And then once I found it, it was like, oh, there it is, right? There's my gold nugget. I just found it. And that embodied, I was able to embody so many different aspects of myself because of it. So for a long time, I think I was on that lost road of where am I going and what am I doing? And so when it came, it was like, oh, there you are. I've been looking for you for a long time.
Right, totally. And know that if the title of seeker is not if you can't really visualize what that is, know that other titles for this would be like wanderer or nomad or vagabond. And noticing those aspects of the vagabond who's just going from one adventure to the next and really living life in the present and really feeling like, yeah, there can be definitely shadowy aspects of like not knowing where to go next or how to go next, and yet they're still on that adventure side. It kind of reminds me of Sagittarius, honestly, like that.
Hmm.
That's probably why it resonates so much with you, my Sagittarius friend, of like, how does it really tap into this? It's not necessarily goal oriented. It's not the Capricorn. It's the Sagittarius, where it's really enjoying the present and just taking one step at a time and really feeling into the fullness of life wherever you are.
Yeah. And I feel with the seeker too, that's a very prominent one that's out there right now. A lot of people are seeking, they're seeking where they want to be. A lot of people are traveling, moving from state to state, wherever their hometown is. A lot of people are moving out of it. They're breaking old ties, people are traveling more, wanting to live in trailers and just be living the nomad life. And so with the seeker, it's really powerful to see it in yourself of what is it that you are honing in on, or what do you feel like you're missing? Because if you feel like you're missing something, it's typically the seeker that's going to show up for you because it's got some plan or some goal for you. But like you said, it's not being like, I have this deadline with it. It's being in flow of it and knowing what it is, but also what doesn't work for you. So when you feel something in you that doesn't resonate, that is a seeker letting you know too, this isn't meant for us. We got to let that part go. Release that. It's
Yeah.
holding us down because a seeker doesn't want to be held back. A seeker doesn't want to be, suppressed or oppressed or anything, or have the boss or have somebody tell you you have to do this or that. The seeker is free flow. Like,
Totally.
let me go do me.
Yeah. Well, and I love this. Like, this is not one in my chart. Like, even though I have Sagittarius as my moon rising, like my Sagittarius sign, I still have Seeker as an archetype, which is interesting to me. And also knowing that when I'm on vacation, when I'm already like scheduled in to be away from home, that is typically when I like really try to embody the seeker of going, how can I be in flow? Expect that the universe is going to show up for me in all of the places and spaces in which I show up. So, like, for example, I'm going to Japan for a pilgrimage. This is a great time for me to embody the seeker so that I can, like, it's almost like having an expectation of miracles happening, having an expectation that the universe is going to show up for me in every place and space that I go. So whether it is in the hotel room or enjoying a meal, or in the temples, right? Like, how can I be in that seeker space of having this open-mindedness and an open heart, that wherever I am, I'm going to feel the richness of that experience. Like, that's what it feels like. So even though like in my day-to-day experience, I might not be a seeker, like, and I really I love reading, and I love like finding truth, but it's not in the same capacity as like the full seeker, right? But when I'm like going on a specific trip, that's really where I find myself going, okay, how can I embody the seeker and really put that cloak on to be fully embodied in that experience, right? And
Mhm.
so like that's a great way for you to start to feel into it. Like, maybe it's not part of your everyday life, maybe it's, I'm taking a day trip, or I'm going to the library, right? Like there's some little pieces that you can just go, okay, in this moment, I'm just going to put on that seeker hat and go, reveal to me the book in which is going to help open my eyes to broader horizons or whatever it may be,
Yeah.
and let your intuition be utilized through the seeker archetype.
Hmm. Yeah, it doesn't have to be a big trip. Like you said, it's going to the library, it's going to some workshop, a ceremony, whatever it is that is happening near you. Sometimes it's just doing the little things, but it brings forward a sense of truth within you, a knowing or a knowledge that you needed to learn. And that's really all it is seeking that within you, is knowing your own heart, knowing your own voice, the seeking the wisdom within. Um, which then can bring us to the child, the nature child, which um, I think I'm doing that a little bit. You know, I had a dream last night and I don't remember the whole dream, but at the end I was snuggling with my lion, with my power animal. And I was like, oh my gosh. And he totally had his head like over my shoulder. And I was looking at him right like in his eyes. And it was just so that's never happened in any of my journeys or experience with lion. He's always just really strong with me and a very powerful protector, but no, I'm like, oh, maybe I needed that love. I don't know. I'm still sitting with it, but that's what I woke up to this morning was literally like, hanging out with my lion, which was a trip. So having child nature coming up and hanging out in nature and letting nature be our healer as well is going out and sitting in nature, sitting with the trees, sitting on the grass, the dirt, whatever it is, hanging out with your animals at home and knowing what their presence is for you. And so that is something like me personally, I'm dealing with because I have animals and sometimes I feel like they kind of entrap me at home because I have the responsibility of them and there's things I know that are coming up and I need to find sitters and all these things and it kind of it's difficult for me. I'm on the shadow aspect of that right now, of trying to figure out why I have animals and I have things to do. I'm going on a trip and I got to figure it out. And so, yeah, recognizing
Yeah,
it in myself.
right.
Yeah.
Totally. So note that in the archetypes, there's, I believe, 6 different child archetypes,
Hmm.
and nature child is one of them. And really, I feel like the nature child is like how you really can step into nature and see the magic in nature, right? So this is talking to animals, talking to the plants, really enjoying the miraculousness that is inherent in nature. Like, what's the miracle around you, right? The flowing water, the breeze, like all of it, and really feeling and tapping into that space. Like, so the light aside is like, if you're, let's say you're going camping, there's no fear of getting lost in the woods. It's like all of nature is going to support me and take care of me. And like nature herself is going to help me tap into the safety in which I can exist here. Right. This is why I
Hmm.
love that our book club right now, we're just finishing up book club on braiding sweetgrass. And when you read this book, it's just like, oh yeah, nature is all around us. Like it's so clear that the author has this archetype, like fully, fully, fully in her this archetype of I can come to nature with a listening ear of like, are you available to help support me? Is there a if I ask for your support, will it be freely given or will I hear a no? And can that no be honored and not taken, like not taken advantage of? Right. And so it's this inherent flowy communication with all of nature around you. And I just love like, so if you're looking for the most embodied, fullest archetype of the child spirit of nature, go read Braiding Sweetgrass because it's just so evident. And then it's like bringing in those aspects of play, right? Like my daughter is very much the child with nature because I just send her outside. Like if she's dysregulated, if she's having a lot of anxiety, it's just like go outside. Just go outside, come back in an hour, you're going to feel so much better. Why? Because it feeds her soul. So yeah, she might come home wet because she's playing in the creek and it's 40 degrees outside and that doesn't surprise me. She might, like the other day I was teaching a class and I wasn't home and I came back and she had like made a staff, like she had found a stick, brought it home, put it in the bathtub, scrubbed it down, found some sandpaper, sanded it off, decorated it with all of her nature art, like feathers and homemade braids and all these things. And I'm like, cool. Like
Yeah.
she's in her energy of the nature spirit of child, like the child within her, right? And so it's utilizing this energy of like I'm one with nature, and how can it support me in feeling my most expansive self? Like I love it when children have this archetype because they're so free in nature. It doesn't scare them, right? Like there's some, like my son is completely different. He's the opposite. He doesn't want to get dirty. He doesn't like getting like, and he's 18 and he's still this way. Like I remember he came home yesterday, he was doing his internship and he was making himself dinner. He's like, all right, mom, like I really just don't like having anything on my hands. Like I just can't handle my hands being dirty. I'm like, yeah, I know. You couldn't even when you were two. I couldn't set him down in the grass because his whole body would cringe if I try to set him down on bare grass. He couldn't handle it. He would like if playing in the mud was never something he would do, right? Versus my daughter, completely opposite child. I'm never surprised if she is covered head to toe in dirt and has rolled around in the mud. Like I'm like, yeah, yeah, yeah. Like this is fine. And so it's like honoring like she can embrace it, but how would my son who really struggles in nature, like he doesn't do camping very well, like he doesn't do those things, he's starting to find the appreciation of like, okay, I can exercise. He likes exercise. So if he can go for a big run up a mountain, he's missing a lot of that appreciation of nature along the way, but he enjoys the view at the top of the mountain. Right. And so it's
Mhm.
like, okay, in that moment, he might be able to grasp this appreciation for nature and the childlike wonder of nature of like, wow, I'm at the top of the mountain. And so it's how can we invite it even further to slow down and play along the way? There's the child aspect of this of how can we playfully engage with nature?
Yeah. Yeah. When I was a kid, so our house is near the riverbed, and that was our everyday. That's what we did. We had you go out and play when the sun rises until the lights come on kind of thing. And we would go and gather frogs and tadpoles and create these little compounds for our pet frogs and connect all these boxes together and make ponds and different things in the boxes. But that's how like we grew up. And then now it's the other day we're doing some yard work in the front, and there's piles of dirt. I'm just sitting in there breaking the clumps of, I'm just playing in it. And my husband's laughing at me. He's like, "What are you doing?" I'm like, "I don't know, I'm like grounding, but I really love it. It's so tangible, and the breaking of the clumps of the dirt and the way I don't know, it was good. It was soothing in the moment." And so it's being playful in it. It's still being able to get down on the ground and play in the dirt and do your sandcastles and kind of stuff like that, whatever it is. But it's what calls to us in the moment, and allowing ourselves to get our hands dirty if we're not afraid of it, right? But for those who are, just sitting on a porch, just take it in the view. Sometimes that's really all you need, and that's okay. Like you're saying,
Right.
like when you get to the mountain, look at the vistas and let that speak to you.
Yeah. It's interesting because like my child archetype is the divine child. Like, very much like more on the mystic child side of things. And looking at my life of like, what do I really want to find my edge in with the summer? Like, summer is going to be in Montana here in the next couple months. Like, yes, it's a couple months out. Like, we are getting snow here still. And going, like, what would really help me find my edge in nature? And really, it's like, I don't remember the last time I got my feet muddy or I walked in dirt or did some creek walking. One, because the water here is freaking cold, right? Like, I get that. And how is that finding my edge? Like, not necessarily outside of my comfort zone, but going, this is going to help me tune into the the child nature archetype and really feeling the wisdom and connection with all of nature and not separate from her. Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's no separation. And so then when we get into the shapeshifter, which I do love this one. So the light attribute of the shapeshifter is skill at navigating through different levels of consciousness, the ability to see the potential in everything. And so collectively, in society, being able to merge with different aspects of people and different ways of life, but it's also within the different layers of ourself and our consciousness. And where are we? So if you think of like our energy centers from like root to crown, right? They're two different aspects of ourself. So root is very earthy. It's very connecting to our sense of stability, our security, our childhood, right? Whereas, and having a strong foundation. Then we go into crown, and that's very like we're lifting ourselves up. We're seeing a much broader view of everything, and we're unattached from most of the experiences of life, right? So we're not having an emotional attachment because we're seeing things from a bigger perspective and understanding it. So it's being able to shift between all the different aspects of ourselves, whether it's work, it's play, it's friendships, how, like, if you think of all your different friends, I'm sure they don't all match up, right? They're not all cookie cutter friends. They're all different aspects of who you are, bringing in different versions of you and having that friend that you can go out and be like, hey, let's go do this. And then another friend might be your quiet friend that wants to go and talk about the books and do that. And then you have your party friend that wants to go out and be wild for the night. So these are all the different aspects of ourself, and each one is showing up and being a mirror of ourself, because the shapeshifter is allowing us to be able to mold and shape to each of them as well.
Right. And so I think like the judgment on the shapeshifter is kind of like the trickster, like your two-faced,
Mm-hmm.
like, right. And it's her highest capacity. That light version is more of how can you, like, I think the highest version is like, how can you do the healing work necessary to embody these different aspects, right? Like I think of the shapeshifter from like the shaman's point of view of, in one moment I can be in my lioness energy, and in the next moment I can be in the energy of bear, and in the next moment I can be in the energy of fish. And how can I embody the power of my power animals to do the healing
Mm-hmm.
work? Like that's also like an aspect of the shapeshifter, and utilizing the power of whatever hat you're putting on. And I love like the like both versions, what Shantel's telling you and what I'm telling you, have their this beautiful mystery about them of like what feels good in the moment of like how can you be most expansive in that shapeshifter energy versus like
Yeah.
trickster of like I'm tricking you and I'm trying to like emotionally manipulate the situation to get something I want, right? Like that would be the shadow aspect.
Yeah, that's the personal agenda.
Yeah.
But we're also all shapeshifters if you look at it like you're a mom, you're a wife, you have a
Yep.
job. So you can go to work and you have that hat that you're wearing, and then you go home and now you're playing the mom, now you're playing the wife, you're playing the caretaker, right? You play the friend. We are all doing this every day. We just don't look at it like that. And so when we can see it like, oh, wait, that's a shapeshifter that's showing up. How can I embody the best version of myself as a mom right now?
Yeah.
How can I be a nurturer and a caretaker? And then how can I turn around in the same day and become the lover? And then how do I wake up the next morning? Now I got to go and be the boss at work and or hold space for your clients. And so we are shape shifting every day, all day, so that we can be all the different layers and levels of ourselves.
And noticing how stressful it can be when you're trying to wear more than one hat at a time.
Hmm.
Like when in the morning, if I am really need to be in my mom role and I'm also checking my Facebook Messenger and responding to students and like trying to come up with my to-do list for the day, and also make the breakfast and pack the lunches and like be mom and be supportive and to my children and helping them get out the door. Like when you're trying to wear more than one hat at a time, how complicated it feels, how disorganized it feels. And taking a breath of going like, which role am I in right now? And can I honor that? Right? Can I just be in the present moment with my child if I'm meant to be a mother right now? And how can I say no? And this is something that my kids get on to me not all the time, but like enough of going, Mom, what are you looking at right now? Like, I want to have a conversation with you. You're getting distracted. Right. And
Hmm.
going, yep, I'm like doing it again, right? Like I'm looking at something for work and not paying attention to my 18-year-old trying to have like a heartfelt connection. Like whoops, I'm not wearing the right hat right now. I'm in the shadowy side of like not being fully present in the role that I'm being asked to be in right now.
Yeah, and the phones are a big issue in a lot of relationships right now because how many times do you get into your phone for one thing and you end up scrolling for like 20 minutes on something you didn't even go into for? You're like, how did I get into Facebook and I was going into my bank account or whatever,
Right.
and all people see is this. They don't know what you're looking at and where your mindset is and why you're in there. They just know there's this detachment. And so we are really having to be aware of that, especially as entrepreneurs when everything's in our phone. And
Right.
that used to not be, 20 years ago. And now it's everywhere. And so it is being conscious and making sure that we're available in the relationships that we're growing and developing in our life so that we don't push our people away based off of what that one hat is. And so, yeah, being that shapeshifter, knowing in the moment, what hat am I playing right now? What role do I have right now?
Absolutely. So a
Yeah.
little recap, we went through four of the 72 archetypes of the Midas, the miser, the seeker, the nature child, and the shapeshifter. And know
Yeah.
that this is like small scratch of the surface. And if you're ready to dive in deeper, Chantel has got a 6-week masterclass coming up at the end of the month. Do you want to tell us a little bit about this opportunity to kind of dive in deeper to the archetypes?
So with them in the master class, we're going to be working with the victim, the prostitute, the saboteur, and the child that you resonate with the most. And for a week each, we're going to walk with them. There will be journal prompts that you'll be provided. You're going to be noticing and having full awareness of self, of like, how is the victim showing up for me right now? How am I alchemizing that into the warrior aspect of myself? And then going into the saboteur, how am I sabotaging myself? So it's really bringing in a conscious awareness of yourself so that you can shift your own conditioning, your own patterns. And at the end of it, we're going to have a week of integration where you're going to work with all of them. You're going to be integrating all of the information and wisdom that you've learned about yourself so you can apply this to your day to day. And when you apply it, every day is a day of learning an aspect of yourself, but eventually you start to break those the conditionings that hold you back. And that's really what it is. It's going through the healing process so that we can be fully empowered, fully embodying our higher self and stepping into who we want to be and who we see ourselves as without all the the layers of conditioning and stuff like that. So I'm
Awesome.
really excited about it. It's going to be a lot of fun. It's going to be a lot of work and a lot of it just is, but I'm going to be there to support you through the whole thing.
Yeah,
And it's
absolutely.
very interactive.
I love it. Like I feel like I definitely did this one-on-one with Chantel, and it's just it really helps you recognize what your strengths and weaknesses are and how to alchemize yourself into that highest version of who you are. And so knowing where the saboteur is showing up, knowing where the prostitute is showing up, knowing where your victim is showing up is such an impactful piece of your healing journey and just bringing what's in the subconscious into the conscious. Because when we have things in the conscious, then we can have a conscious choice about how we respond to different situations. So I highly recommend this masterclass. Chantel, will you let us know what the dates are and the price, please?
Yes, so we are starting on May 27th. It's 1 o'clock to 3 o'clock or
You,
Pacific Standard
do you mean
Time.
April?
Oh, I'm sorry, April. I am so in May right now.
There
April 27th
you go.
through June 1st. So it's every Sunday for 6 weeks from 1 to 3 Pacific Standard Time. And then it's $333 or two payments of like 166 or something like that. So yeah, we have the
Amazing.
payment plan on this one, or you can pay in full, whatever you're comfortable with. And yeah, we start on the 27th.
Yay. Super excited. Well, thank you so much for all of that information and the last couple of weeks talking about archetypes. It's definitely one of a juicy conversation I love having with you. So thank you for participating in all of that. And until next time, may you awaken to the whispers of wisdom rising from within.